Hey everyone, welcome back to On the Fence Movie Reviews. I am Adrian, joined by Rob, Daniel, and our newest member of the group, Tony. And today we're going to be talking about Ant-Man, Quantumania. So Ant-Man is the first installment of the Phase 5 for the MCU, and it stars Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors, Evangeline Lilly, and Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer. And so I'm going to kick it off to Rob. We're going to talk about the film a little bit. And Rob, I want to get your thoughts on what this film was and did it work for you, did not work for you? And let's just talk about it.
All right. Here's the thing. I like this film. There are obviously some plot holes and little things that if you want to sit there and pick this movie apart, you can. But overall, I thought it was a fun movie, very chaotic. I think obviously what's going to stand out most is Kang the Conqueror. Jonathan Majors doing a phenomenal job as the new bad guy to replace Thanos, which I think we're going down, if this is the guy, we're going down an excellent road, and I can't wait to see it. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. At my advanced years in age, I've learned to just kind of take a movie and be like, all right, like I can sit here and gripe on the negative things, which there are a few negative things, but overall, I enjoyed the movie.
Cool. Let's go to our newest member, Tony. What did you think of Ant-Man and Quantumania?
Excuse me. So going into this movie, I had like everyone in the world, there is a platform out there called Rotten Tomatoes. And we've seen the Rotten Tomato score going into this. Me personally, I've always had my own motto, and this probably goes for all of you guys as well, is I never like to judge a movie based on its review. I like to watch the movie myself and give my own, and that should usually be for everyone. Yeah. So going into this, I was just stoked, man. I mean, we got our introduction to a variant of Kang in Loki season 1. So to see Jonathan Majors come back and reprise this role in a much bigger, badder scale is so cool. And to see that promise that, Kevin Feige made where, the TV shows and the movies are going to be going back and forth. We're starting to see that with Kang. And we'll get into I'm assuming we'll get into some spoilers a little bit later down the road because there were some good post-credit scenes out there. But just to see Jonathan Majors as this big bad guy, and he's such a good actor. I first started seeing him in that show Lovecraft County for HBO, and he was fantastic on that. So when I found out he got cast as Kang, I was actually pretty stoked because I'm like, this guy's a great actor. He's also going to be in the upcoming Creed 3, and he looks absolutely ripped. Let's just praise that guy's body. That guy is, I mean, I'm thinking Rob over here clangs and bangs, and then I look at Jonathan Majors. I'm like, that's Kang, bro. But overall, my thoughts of this movie was I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to kind of take a movie. And if you guys realize, it takes place on Earth for like a few minutes, and then the majority of that movie takes place inside the quantum realm, which I thought was really cool to kind of explore that space. So that was a lot of fun to do. I was a little skeptical about the recasting of Cassie Lang. I do like what's her name? Catherine Newton, I think. Is that her name?
Catherine Newton, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think she's a phenomenal actress. I feel bad for the girl from Endgame who didn't really get a chance to show her acting chops, but it is what it is. But overall, I mean, Kang, I think he stole the show for this whole movie, and anyone else that's seen this movie will agree. He was easily one of the best parts of this film. So many things make sense in the MCU thus far that we've seen, as far as Phase 4 leading into Phase 5. I'm just stoked. I can't wait to see this next chapter, this next big bad villain. His costume looked phenomenal. And I'm just excited for this next phase of the Marvel Universe, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely hit all those points. Daniel, what were your thoughts?
I think I'm gonna be the first one to disagree with all of you.
Okay,
cut him off. Cut him off.
Go for it.
No, I didn't like this movie.
Okay.
I found myself bored probably the first half up until Kang showed up. I thought Rouse was taking off. I just I don't know. I just wasn't into it, and what's the name? Majors. What's the name? I forget his name.
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors. Yeah, to me he's the standout. Like Tony said, he's definitely the standout in this movie. Like I thought he was awesome. Yeah, up until then when he showed up, like I was bored, but then like when he showed up, I was just like I was all in. I was like really like into it. And then when they cut to like other parts of the movie, I don't know, it just took me out. The girl who played Cassie was cool. The new actress, I thought she did a really good job. I thought her chemistry with Paul Rudd was really good. I really bought into their father-daughter relationship. You know, he's been gone these many years, you know, through the blip. So he's, you know, trying to be a dad all over again. You know, he's missed a ton of years, and so I really bought into the relationship. But as far as like the story as a whole, it was, I don't know. I wouldn't say it was a mess because it was pretty. It was pretty straightforward, but it's just, I don't know, just the execution. I would say that was just didn't do it for me. It's just like it was very bland. But it did make me when all the King stuff happened. It did make me interested to see where they're gonna go with this for sure. This character in through the whole Phase 5. That's what I got out of this movie. Like the whole other stuff, I wasn't into. It did feel like an introduction to the Phase 5.
For sure,
yeah. I was a little confused about the end credit scene, so maybe you guys could enlighten me what that was all about.
Maybe, I think maybe we can hop into spoilers, like at the end or something.
Because because I did skip out on She-Hulk and there was the other one. Miss Marvel or whatever. I don't know if they.
I would say for this movie, you mostly had to know what was going on in Loki because that's what really set up this film, in my opinion.
Okay,
so if you've seen Loki, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay,
it doesn't really directly tie to those shows, so I think you're good.
Okay. Yeah, I seen that one. So like I would say one of the end credit scene I didn't understand, but there was another one that was like, okay, I didn't really get it. But yeah, like I said, I this movie just didn't do it for me. The only person that did it was Jonathan Majors, and I thought he was awesome. It made me more excited to see Creed 3, so I'm excited for that. So
for sure, he definitely brings an intensity that you know really made me like what to echo everything that you guys just said. To echo, it made me excited to see the new big bad that's going to be coming. And then again, it's already been announced, so there's no spoiler here, which is the Avengers, the Kang Dynasty film, which will be coming up soon. And so, yeah, it definitely sets up everything for that. It is definitely kind of a launching pad. So yeah, he really brought it. And I like there's a bit of subtlety between the King that he played in Loki versus the King that he played in this film. And so it's like the same actor, same character in a sense, but slightly different. And I like how he did that as an actor and was able to kind of achieve that because he's definitely more intense than what he was in Loki. I was a bit conflicted on this film because I felt that it was almost like a tale of two films, really because the tone kind of shifted from time to time. And that how would you say, like kind of like what Daniel was talking about in that first half, where it definitely takes on that sort of MCU tone that we see through a lot of the MCU films with that quippy humor and all of that, which it's starting to wear a little thin on me because they kind of do it in the most awkward times and moments. And then when Kane shows up, it becomes very serious, very intense. So in a sense, I appreciate that because it helps you take that character a little bit more seriously. But it is a straightforward film. I've heard some comparisons to Star Wars, so I guess I can kind of get where they were going with that. I definitely did like the way they kind of built the quantum realm. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I like the characters, the design, all of that. Michelle Pfeiffer also brought a pretty strong performance. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of interaction with Evangeline Lilly's character, Hope, who kind of gets not a lot of screen time in this film. I would have liked to seen them maybe work together a little bit more. It seemed like they only really worked together in the climax of the film. But I think overall it's not like a great film. It's definitely watchable. It's definitely one that I would say watch if you're going to invest yourself into the upcoming phase in the MCU. But I think overall as a whole, it just was a little too conflicted for me, a little it doesn't commit to certain things, which I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but there are certain things that happen to the characters and I was like, oh, is this okay, no, they kind of played a little safe. So I that kind of irks at me a little bit, but I think overall as a whole it's enjoyable. I mean, there's nothing like terrible about it, but I wish they did a few things a little differently. But those are definitely my thoughts on the film. But overall, guys, I don't know what your recommendations are. What are you guys going to say? Get off the fence or maybe skip this one?
Well, I'm gonna say get off the fence. I mean, if you've invested years into the MCU, I'm gonna say get off the fence and check it out, because this is the first movie in the next phase, and so I mean that it's a no-brainer. You got to get off the fence and check this out.
I would say be like Kang and conquer the damn fence and freaking and go see this movie, even if you don't if you don't like it for the story, at least go see it for Kang alone. The Kang alone when he's on screen is really a magical experience. I haven't felt this much threat in a villain since Thanos, and even then I'm thinking this guy is even more powerful than Thanos, because what he's doing in this movie and what you find out he does in this movie, and it's insane. We're in for a wild ride in phase 5, and it seems like Marvel's not going to hold back and bringing him up in other projects in the future, so I'm super stoked about that.
Dan, what are your thoughts? Get on or get off?
I'm gonna say stay away from that fence. Don't even think about jumping over. Maybe jump another fence to go watch another movie. No, like I said, this movie just didn't do it for me. The only, like I said, I guess the good thing about the movie was Jonathan Majors. Like, I thought he was awesome. I kind of agree with Tony about like his threat level. But one question I got to ask, so what makes him so powerful?
His technology.
Kang. Okay,
his technology. He's from the really far future.
Okay.
In the comics, the way he was is like he's from the distant future. He's actually a real distant relative of Reed Richards in the comics. Okay. So he's beyond genius. And with all the knowledge and powers that he's learned and that he's gained over the years, especially with all his future tech, it makes him one of the most powerful beings in the universe. Now, from what I've heard, where we're going with this phase, and this to me sounds like kind of Marvel's Flashpoint in a way. He's going after this he's going to be, the rumor is he's supposed to be going after this stone. It's supposed to be more powerful than all the Infinity Stones combined. And this stone can easily reset and mess with time. So I had heard rumor that Kevin Feige and Marvel were talking about doing kind of a soft reboot in the MCU after Secret Wars, so they could focus on the younger generation of like the next Avengers, the new Avengers and stuff. So if they do that, I would see one of these two Avengers movies easily being kind of Marvel's Flashpoint movie. You know what I mean? Like this is going to reset them.
Yeah, and I think that would be pretty interesting, and a smart way to go about it, because I think if they keep going the way that they've been going with just like kind of, okay, let's just keep building forward, it might get a little boring or stale. But if they do like what you're saying, like kind of like this time jump reset, and then with this character Kang, I think that would be, I'd be more interested in that, and be all for that. So I think that's a great way to go. But
Just thought I'd throw this
Thank-
out there too. RDJ is in talks with potentially returning to the MCU. They're trying to cut a deal right now. You heard it here first.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
There you go.
I guess that's just one of my main problems with Phase 4 is just like there wasn't really a clear direction. It just I don't know. It just seems they're just like stumbling all over the place. Whereas this, like, even though I did not like this film, I do feel like they're setting up something. So that's why I'm more excited in this Phase 5 than Phase 4. Like it's like
Well-
okay, they have Kang. I'm really interested
Yeah.
to see how he's gonna play out and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, again, one of the gripes that I originally had after coming out of the theaters was that I wanted more Kane. I wanted more backstory. I wanted to know more about him, but at the same time, knowing that he's going to be in future projects, obviously with the with like Kang Dynasty and whatever. So it's more than likely that we're going to get more of that information as those projects start to come out and we see them. So I get maybe why they kind of held off on giving us everything all front. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see this character, and see what they do with this character and how the MCU goes forward. So yeah, I think if for nothing else, I would say get off the fence, check out this film because it does set up the future. And again, with this character, it makes me a little bit more at ease because I like to echo what Daniel was saying, I was a little concerned after watching Phase 4, and so to see what they set up with this character, I'm not as concerned. It makes me a little bit more hopeful. So, but anyway,
I will add one last thing that I will say this. I am a little upset with Marvel in the fact that I feel like we've gotten more characters introduced in TV shows than we had movies.
Okay. Yeah.
And like I get it. I kind of like the whole like let's give the character an origin story and stuff, but Marvel Studios started with the movies, and I feel like if you're gonna save like a big like reveal of a new character or something, you should throw it on the movie. Like I know Kevin Feige was like, we're gonna make the movies and TV shows equal. I love that. I'm for it, but I was like, when I'm watching like a movie, like I want to be in the theater. Just like if I see that character that I've been waiting to come on the MCU for so long, I just want to be blown away, especially with the big screen, the loudspeakers. Like you're just immersed into it right then and there.
Yeah.
For sure. And go ahead.
No, yeah. Like I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like I miss that time where we got introduced to Iron Man, we got introduced to Captain America, the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I think that has to, like, as far as the characters getting introduced in TV shows, I think that has to do with just an executive level producer, or like because they want everyone to sign up for Disney Plus, and that's what they were like hinging on. They're like, okay, we're gonna introduce all these characters on Disney Plus because they threw a lot of money into Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I have Disney Plus. That and Star Wars.
Exactly. That is, well, technically I have it because of my kids too. So I was like, so even if they didn't have those shows, I probably would still have
because
it.
of his kids.
Yeah.
Kids. He's like secretly watching Cinderella in the background, bro.
I'll just
We
have
got
to.
we got a 10-minute.
Yeah. I don't pay for the premium subscription on Zoom, so
all good.
So yeah, so like I think that has to do a lot with as far as Disney Plus, which but I agree with you, Tony, when you were saying about like being in theater. I mean, there's no greater feeling than that, like just being in theater and just being introduced to these mega superheroes and stuff. And I think we lost Adrian, but whatever.
Yeah, I was like, I think
if I can say one last thing though, I would say that Kang's costume, hands down, the most spot on comic accurate costume I've seen in a very long time. So
yeah, his
bravo
suit
to
looked
the
awesome.
costume
I'm like,
designer and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did like his last costume. From the
So beautiful
pictures that I've seen posted online.
I was like, blue face, let's
on
go.
point. So
yeah.
Okay, so
For sure.
so we got like 8 minutes left. But I just want to say is there anything we want to discuss that might be spoilerish real quick?
Post-credit scenes easily.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
spoilers
And the ending, because I
yeah,
think this movie had a
spoilers-
brilliant ending.
spoilers right
Um,
now. Spoilers right now. So,
Adrian, you're sideways, by the way. So
also, yeah, Adrian, you want to not be sideways. Tony, you want to start us off?
Adrian,
Oh, wait,
but I'll flip it over when I edit it, so you're good. So
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have
So-
to adjust.
Okay,
right now.
fine. Yeah, I think my Wi-Fi's cutting in and out because you guys started cutting in and out right now.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, we don't need
All
you.
right,
So
that's
we got this.
mean.
All
That's
right.
Tony, Tony, go ahead.
For starters, I want to talk about the ending of this film because the ending of this film for me was just so brilliant. Most people might disagree, but when I dissect films, I dissect films. Much like that's why I joined this group, because this group has equal minds like me. The ending is so brilliant to me because it sets up that what if factor that
yeah.
Scott is at the end doing his normal routine that we saw him do in the beginning of this movie. And, you know, he's going through town, saying hi to everyone, getting his coffee. And then he starts second guessing himself as to if he really killed Kang and if he really got Kang.
yeah, I really
like,
love that.
into the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
I-
that kind of whole like paranoia thing, even as an audience member, you're watching that and going, oh shit, but like, but did he? Like, is
Yeah.
Kang
Yeah.
dead? And just to kind of have that
Yeah.
whole build up to the end of him just worrying about that, but then not worrying about it, but then going back to worrying about it again. And then the last shot is him eating the cake, and he's just like, "Oh, this is gross!" Like,
Yeah.
it was easily one of the most brilliant endings ever because that really, for me as a fan, set up like, "Oh shit, something bigger is coming with Kang." Like, I even know as a fan walking into that, I'm like, "He ain't dead," which
Yeah.
perfectly goes into the first post-credit scene that we got, which was actually the mid-credit scene. Setup of now, if you guys are Rick and Morty fans, this is the best way I can explain it to you guys. The Council of Ricks, something similar that they did in Rick and Morty, they did in the comics. They did that before Rick and Morty. The Council of Kangs, and that's why you saw all these different Kangs here. Specifically, the three that you see in the post-credit scene. The Pharaoh one, actually, in the comics, the Fantastic Four have fought him before. So it is cool to see that they're kind of taking this whole Kang Dynasty storyline from the comics and kind of bringing it into the MCU for Phase 5. I was very excited to kind of see at the end where you see like all these Kangs just kind of coming into like this arena type area, and they're about to have this like big discussion. I really hope we get to see what the Council of Kangs says. I don't know if we'll get to see it anytime soon or if we'll have to wait till Avengers Kang Dynasty to see that. But this right here tells me how brilliant of an actor Jonathan Majors is, because he's playing these different versions of Kang and he's playing them differently, like to their own aspects and whatnot, which also leads into that second post-credit scene, which is brilliant. So, I mean, to get that kind of that feel of like the future of the MCU with Kang and a little tease for Loki season 2, I was beyond stoked and beyond satisfied with the two post-credit scenes we got.
Yeah. So the mid-credit scene, that was the one that I was talking about. Like, I was confused, but so thank you for clarifying that. And the second one I loved with Loki. I like how what's his name? Not
Owen Wilson.
Yeah, Owen Wilson. He's like he doesn't seem like, he says something to the nature of like, he doesn't seem terrifying, and he's like, Loki's like, no. He's he's the real deal. That's what I really liked that.
And not to mention, Loki hasn't even faced the one that Ant-Man faced. He only visited the one that was in the office.
Yeah.
And then he saw at the post-credit scene of Loki season 1, we see that Kang has taken over the TVA.
Yeah. And
So
I like
I'm excited.
the end line of Loki, which kind of also sets that up, is where he's like, "You're not gonna like my variants," you know, and so it just kind of tells you how bad the other Kangs are, and what's coming, you know. But
I'm super stoked, man. As a fan, I mean, you see this and you're just like, Kang the Conqueror, man. Like, in the beginning, I was like, okay, this should be cool. Like, it was really hard for me to get over Thanos for a little bit, because I was like, Thanos was such a badass character in the MCU. I loved everything Josh Brolin brought to that character. And then you're going into a new villain and you're just like, oh, dude, like, okay, how do I adapt to this? And then I started seeing, we saw his appearance in Loki, which was like a good setup. And I was like, okay, cool. Now we got to see him in action in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I was like, this is phenomenal, man. This is cool.
This is this is probably, I mean, and this might be a negative thing. But this is, I would say, the issue. One of the issues when I sit talk negative about this movie is, you know what? Yeah, Marvel's done so much now where I feel like everything is world-ending events, and I feel like Ant-Man, the first two Ant-Mans were kind of smaller. In that world it was big, but overall it was a smaller story. The I guess the thing I wish this Kang would have had his own story. I know it's probably like too soon as far as like giving him this whole detailed story of what's going to happen, but I feel like this movie happened and it really didn't like it told the story of I think like it told the story of Kang kind of,
Yeah.
but it happened in a sub world of our world, and it didn't like nothing, like it didn't progress anything other than telling the Kang story, and barely though. So I wished it would have been more about Kang, and not even been an Ant-Man movie, like just something else, because I feel like Ant-Man has always been like in MCU wise grounded movie and a smaller scale, and I like the movie, but I like our smaller stories like a Daredevil, like Ant-Man, like just
Okay.
those
Yeah.
just those tiny stories that aren't everything's gonna destroy the world kind of thing. That's I mean that was the gripe I had in uh as far as with this movie. I mean it's kind of a big one, but I still enjoyed the movie overall. It was like I think it was like chaotic fun, but I would like to see the story of Kang, this specific Kang.
I wasn't a big fan of the face reveal from MODOK.
Yeah, that's what I was
Nah.
gonna bring up right now was I don't think it's too much of a spoiler because I think they did
But we're
mention
spoiling
like
stuff right now.
He was
so.
in the trailer.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's that character Darren from the first Ant-Man, I think that's a bit of a spoiler. Like that's a big reveal.
Yeah.
I did not like that, and honestly, I did not like the way his face looked. It looked kind of weird, like it was stretched out and stuff. And
But him and his helmet and his costume looked awesome.
Oh yeah,
Like in my opinion.
yeah, and that was what.
But
that
when
was
they
one of
show
the-
his
oh, go
face,
ahead.
it just kind of was like,
It's
that
just
doesn't
horrible.
look that great.
That was
Yeah,
one of those
and-
things where
and-
it's like they a villain that could have been meant like another menacing villain they made just like funny.
Yeah, they made him a joke.
Yeah,
Because especially after
yeah,
playing the
that's-
Avengers game, you know what I mean? Like MODOK was like the big bad in the Avengers game, and I had a lot of fun with that one. So I know a lot of people didn't like it, but
all right, we got 1 minute left.
All right, let's close this out. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to us in our review of Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania, and also our spoiler talk at the end here. What did you guys think? Why don't you comment down below and let us know what your thoughts were, and also don't forget to follow us on Instagram at On the Fence Movie Reviews. And Rob, can you take us out?
You got like 2
It's
seconds.
been a while.
Remember, we'll catch you on the fence.